And we're live in 5, 4.
Welcome back to the BurlyFishing podcast. We are not live this week. We are not even on the same day that we normally are. And it's the middle of the day. Is there sun shining there, Paul?
It's so messed up. I'm like,
It's
the light's
absurd.
not even on. I don't even have my light on in here.
I don't have mine on. Wait, my light's on? No, I don't need it. Yeah, it is the middle of a day on a Sunday. We were actually supposed to do this episode at night, but homeboy forgot.
But we're not.
Homeboy didn't show up 5 minutes late, just texted and was like, yo, are we podcasting right now? Like, my bad.
I want to be really clear. I actually forgot as well. And I was like talking with Haley about like what we were going to do tonight. She's like, you're podcasting. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
So you were actually secretly relieved that I forgot.
No, because I was reminded at like 5. Yeah. You were reminded at like 7:30.
When we were supposed to be on at like 7. And I just texted you. I was like, bro, I totally forgot. We did ice fish like all day. And like I got home and I just wanted to spend time with my family and my wife. And like our wife time is at night. So I was like having my wife time. We're watching a movie. We're hanging out and drinking. We had pizza.
This is getting interpreted by everyone listening.
No. The married ones will understand. Everybody else, you interpret however you want. I don't care. Like, so we're watching a movie and we're drinking and having a good time. And then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be podcasting. She was like, do you think you can podcast right now? I was like, yeah, I could pull it off.
Derp, yeah.
Of course. But I don't want to because we're having fun. So I was like, all right, we'll move it, whatever. So this is a Sans Chaz episode, you guys. We don't have Chaz. Chaz has officially bailed on us forever, except that he'll be back next week. That's why it looks like garbage. Anyway, so we're here. We're recording for you guys because we love you and we didn't even want to miss you for 1 week. This is posting the same time we normally post stuff. Hope you enjoy it. We are answering your questions today. So these are all completely like Instagram, Facebook, viewer submitted questions for the day. And I'm stoked about it because we have like 28. You guys came through in the clutch. Like we needed some show meat and you just provided. We are just #blessed. This is amazing. So here's the deal. If you guys like the content, if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on this video. That helps us out a lot. You can ring that notification bell so you can see when we drop more content. You'll be alerted when that comes up. And you can always follow us everywhere else. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We just dropped a banger of a TikTok. You should go check it out. It's pretty sweet. And next time we're live, which will be the week after this, next week, right? You can come back. Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back. We'll be live. We'll have Chaz and chat will be engaged, right? We can have some fun with it. All right. Quick updates?
Yes.
Quick updates. Okay. So updates. This show is sponsored by Monster Bass, right? We appreciate them. They hook us up. They help us out a lot. We got some stuff that is coming out from Monster Bass very, very soon. So you had the bag drop this month, right? So if you got a February order in, you ordered within February, you got it back. And now they're dropping Tungsten. We have Tungsten flipping weights, you guys. This is ridiculous. They are print labeled with the weight on it and a nice little MB. That's sweet. They're no chip. We've got some coming to us that we're going to get to try out very soon. And by try out, I mean flip in our driveway or the snow or something until there's actual water.
There's going to be a really funny video coming.
We'll put our heads together. We'll figure something out. It's going to be good. But we're going to get our hands on those at least and see what they're like. They're sweet. Go check them out. It's on the monsterbass.com website. So go check that out. The March box. The March box is the Bassmaster Classic box. And what that means is that every bait, sans one, there's one special bait thrown in there as an extra kind of awesomeness, and that is the Rudd square bill. It's a giant silent square bill. It's sweet. But other than that, all the baits in there have won a Bassmasters Classic, and that is quite absurd. That's cool. Like those baits are worth like a lot of money.
Oh yeah, in terms of like what they've provided for winnings, like those are worth more than my net worth combined.
Times 7. All right. So here's the cool thing we got for you guys though this week is, if that wasn't cool enough, we're gonna do an Instagram and YouTube giveaway tomorrow. There's 2 of them. right? So on Instagram, since we're not live this week for the podcast, we're going to get you guys a chance to win that $25 gift card. It's going down on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram, there's a YouTube giveaway, or get an Instagram. But we're going to do that giveaway. It's just going to be the simple, like the post, follow Paul, follow me. Just so you guys know, Paul is at Paul_J_glass. Follow both of us and comment on the post that I put up. It'll be a very obvious post. It's gonna be like a giant MB placard with like $25 gift card. Duh. Smash like, comment below, and I'll draw a winner by Monday. So you got like the weekend to get your entries in. Comment as much as you want. It'll be like, we'll probably have you like tag people and all that. Instructions in the post. So tag as many people as you want, and we will pick a winner on Monday. On YouTube, I'm cleaning out my gear again. So there's going to be a jig giveaway. We're getting rid of all the jigs, spinner baits, a whole ton of stuff. Like I have way too many, and they're in like accessory boxes that they're stowed away and they never see the light of day. So I'm gonna give them away because they're good jigs. Like I just don't use them. I have too many. So I'm gonna clean that out on a video like I did that plastics video, and you guys are gonna get a chance to win a big old box of jigs as well as Burly hat and shirt, which I'll order for you and ship straight to you. So I think that's it. Oh, we fished. It says plus we fished.
It says we
show
fished.
notes here.
Well, we also Rick just posted on his Instagram. He's really trying to get people on his VIP list. VIP. And I just want to plug that because I'm on the VIP list. And sometimes I get the text and I'm like, bro, I should buy some of this because you'll just get
he dropped this week?
Yeah, he just dropped swim baits and they're half off. And I was like, dude, that's like a better deal than what I would get. Like I feel like I should get some of these.
It's sweet. Like he scoops up like good, like large quantities of good baits, and then he's giving you them like at a very low cost. So if you guys aren't on it, consider it, because why not? Like just get on the VIP list. We dropped a video on it on the Monster Bass YouTube channel this week. So if you want more details, it's over there. Go check that out. Rick discusses it and how to get on it. There's a link right there as well.
So cool. That's what I had. We did go fishing, and we didn't just go. It wasn't just Jeff and I. We had Ted from Flat River Outfitters with us, who was on a previous podcast episode. Ted is a lot taller than I thought he was.
Ted's a giant man. Have you never met him in person before that trip? Met him in
person.
And I didn't even think about it.
And like he rolls up, like he gets out of his truck, and I was like, "Bro, are we fighting? You're huge."
Right.
It was, like, dang.
Intimidating, happy-go-lucky personality. He's so scary.
Yeah. If it was just silhouette and no like smiling under the beard, I'd be like, whoa.
Right. So yeah, we fished with Ted. We went out to a home lake by me, and it was a lot of fun. It's notoriously like a musky lake, but like barely anybody has been catching muskies in the past like 5 to 10 years on there. There's like every now and then I run across a guy that's like, yeah, I caught a big one yesterday. I'm like, all right, cool. But then like I never hear anything from anyone else. So it's actually a very scarcely populated musky lake. Yeah. So not a destination trip by any means, but we did multi-species that day. So I'll drop a video on this maybe in like a week or so here. But we got bass, crappie, perch, bluegill, and a mystery giant fish that I totally flubbed the catch on. I did not land said fish. I did dumb things. It's fine.
I cannot wait to see the video because I have my memory of it. I watched it
last night and I cried.
This is like and this is where actually we can talk about this a little bit in the first
I saw what happened.
See, because this is the thing. It's like I have my memory of these moments, and then you watch it either from your or someone else's perspective, like on camera, and it totally. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it's the same, but it's always interesting to like approach the video, waiting for that moment with like your version of it in your head, and then like get confronted by it like from the film. I love that.
I am 1000% positive it was like a 2-pound bass. So it folded the ultralight tickle stick, like tip just dipped right into the water when it hit. It actually was a very subtle hit. So you actually see, normally the jigs are like wavering in the water, right? And then the tip of the tickle stick just goes solid. And then it starts folding because it's just like walking away with it. And then I set the hook and I was like, all right, cool. So I have the rod up, I'm reeling, I'm doing my job. And then I'm like, this is a big. So I go to pull the transducer. And what happens was I had a slack line at that point, and I got scared that he popped off. So I actually reached for the line to see if he was still on there. And as I pulled the line, I set down the reel rather than trying to get it back, like just lift your rod up higher. So I made the wrong call, had a 50-50 shot, took the wrong choice, right? But I saw it was when I pulled the transducer, I screwed myself. Like I should have tried to just get him up a little bit higher before I did that, or let him run for a little bit. But hey, like we were talking, you know, you got to learn when you make the mistake, you own it, you learn from it. Could have been a sweet catch, is what it is. I'll get another shot another day.
I've been there though with ice fishing. Like ice fishing is challenging because there are unique things that you have to manage that until you get into, it's just like with regular fishing, like you, to Jeff's point, like you learn things like as you make mistakes. So like you learn not to like flip your rod to the opposite side of a fish's head, because that's when the hook is actually getting turned out of the mouth. Right. And like you learn how to handle fish, you learn how to, when you can boat flip and when you can't. And the only way you really learn the difference is when you screw it up a couple times. Yeah. I've caught a pike on a, you know, like pinky nail, hangnail size jig before on 3-pound test, and brought it up, got it halfway out of the hole, and then it head shook and dipped out. And I was like, you know, you just want to cry and crumple and just become frozen spittle right there. Yeah, it's so bad.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, it's so bad. But like now I know, like if you see the head of a big fish come out, you do the trout reach and you jam your hand down there and you grab it. And those are just
you let it eat your hand, like
just let it roll, man. If he's attached to you, it's hard to get back in the hole. So
you form a new jig and you hook it.
So you know, but those are mistakes that until you make those mistakes, like you can't really get, like, you know, that those experiences are going to make you better. So but it was interesting to watch. And I can't wait to watch the video. No, I can't wait to watch the video and actually compare it to like my memory of it.
It was within, I think, 1.5 minutes of me calling one for the road.
Yeah, it was.
Because I rewatched it. I didn't realize how close it was. I go like, one for the road. And then I'm like, oh my God.
And then we never had another opportunity after that.
And then nothing. Yeah, there was not another single bite. But we got some jumbo perch. I filleted them. I did it.
Oh, you did?
Did it. I filleted them all last night by myself. The perch, the crappie, and that bluegill. So I caught a few of those myself. I was pretty proud of it. Paul's crappie had like a nice, like, dude, tons of meat on that thing. Yeah. And I'm going to just kind of like combine it. And we're going to do the air fryer. We're going to try an air fryer recipe and see how it goes. So
I was going to be interested, but I've heard so many people recommend it that now I know it's good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm stoked about it. My wife got an air fryer like 2 weeks ago, and she just uses it nonstop.
It's like pouring water in there.
Yeah. But it's not like you're not like frying like bar food. Like it's you use it for everything. She'll like roast peppers in there. You know, it just makes everything crispier and better. I'm telling you guys, check them out. And they're super.
This is the last thing before we get to the Q&D, which we could probably skip. But
there are so many cues.
There's a lot of cues. So we might have to skip the D. I had to say it. So I had to go. So the TikTok air fryers where people just have these like brutalized, like abused air fryers, and they're just like throwing like two-day chicken nuggets and then like some fries and then like a cookie, and they're like, what is this gonna be like?
It's gonna be disgusting.
I have so much. I don't know. I have so much anxiety.
Chicken nuggets are never bad.
Yeah, I have so much anxiety about looking into those air fryer, like little, like whatever you call them, pots. I have so much anxiety looking into those because it's just like crusted crap, like from like the last 25 blended dishes that they've put in there. I legitimately can't watch those Instagram or those TikTok posts anymore. My whole soul is like, ugh. Oh, ooh, yeah. All right. We're skipping the cue of the day. We're going straight to the show meat. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna call out the person that did it, and then we'll answer the question, and then we'll just work our way down the list. How's that sound?
Shout out to people. So we're gonna shout you out, and we're gonna do the question. So number 1, the Bearded Angler on Instagram asks us how to start a YouTube Instagram channel and why we started. So here is the ultra secret, nobody knows this tip to starting your YouTube or Instagram channel. Ready? Write this down. Start. You just start posting content. Yeah. Like, and like, here's the biggest thing I can say for you guys. If you want to do it, which I encourage everybody to do it, like why not? I want the fishing world to blow up. I want tons of people in here. I want more people fishing. I want, anglers that know nothing about the sport, getting into it and learning about it from other people. And it's a great community. And I love talking to you guys. I think you're all amazing. And I love the people that I've been able to meet because of this community. So I want it to grow. So obviously everybody should do it, whether you just post pics on Instagram or you do videos on YouTube, whatever you want to do. It's content. So you just make it, and you make it consistently. You make it on like the same days, the same times, and people come to expect your content to show up. And the biggest thing is that you just learn from what you're putting out there. So much like the fishing mistakes we were talking about a second ago, if you post something and nobody likes it, even if you like it, that's great and everything, but consider meeting them in the middle. Like, how could you frame this in a way that maybe a larger audience might follow that? Like ice fishing for us. So we love ice fishing. Some of you guys do too. Most of you don't, and that's okay. And we respect that. And we try to just frame it in different ways and have different, kinds of fun with it and see if there's a way that we can meet you in the middle. Maybe it's the aquaview footage. Maybe it's a catch and cook on the water. Maybe Ted brings a freaking fire stove out on the ice. There's a ton of different ways to look at it, but that's the gist of it. Like, just post something and learn from what you're posting. Read your analytics,
I would add, just be really comfortable. And this is like a skill set that I think that like our generation, like the end of the millennial, like Gen X or whatever it is, the Y, whatever they are, like everyone after like the end of the millennials, like that tail end, you just have to be really comfortable, like just putting stuff out there and having it be successful or not successful. Like, don't live and die by the likes and views. Like Jeff said, like treat everything as an opportunity to be like, that just didn't work that well. And I'm going through it right now, actually. Like, I'm going through a thing on Instagram where I'm like trying to like grow my IG from like literally 0 in April-ish of last year to like whatever, just to support what we're doing, right? To try and grow the audience. And like, I'm learning along the way, and like the algorithm changes, and like all of a sudden, like, why am I getting muted? Like, none of my stuff's getting out there. And so you start playing with it and figuring out, and like, I'm just going to keep putting stuff out there. Like, I'll put out things that I like, and I'll try and make them successful. But like, don't feel like everything you have to put out has to be perfect, because it won't be. And two, if you do that, you'll never put anything out. So like, Jeff's initial piece of advice, I think, is like the best one. It's like, just start doing it. And then what I would tack on is, don't sweat like not getting 1 trillion followers on the first day or the 100th day, and just keep making stuff. Like, you can't develop like a backlog of content without like making one post or like 2 posts. Like, at some point you're going to have like only 5 videos, and that's okay. Right. And I think we all look back on the first couple of things that we posted and we'd be like, yeah, do I wish that I was as good back then as I am now? Yes. But your 75th post is not your 75th until you have like number 1 out there. So like, just start doing it and be okay with whatever the result is, knowing that you're going to take all that information and just get better and better.
Also, be authentic. Don't feel like you got to do trends and be all clickbaity and all that nonsense. You might not grow as fast. You might not go viral, but at least you're being yourself and you can own it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, man. If it doesn't work, then you're just lame and nobody likes you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, but like, but like that. But
do stuff that you love and be able to respect it. Like enjoy what you're doing. Like, because we could do that. We could do that. We've talked about it before. We're like, do we have to do this? Like, could we do that? I don't think I could live with it. I wouldn't enjoy having that content on my channel, I don't think. And, while in the short term it might help us blow up, I think in the long term it would hurt us and we'd be stuck doing that stuff forever. And we don't want to do that.
Or you get to the point where like people talk about buying followers, which would be like, okay, I'm going to like just keep doing things to where like I'm essentially what it boils down to. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but like you're paying people to like follow you, and or you're taking like shortcuts to try and get numbers. And I think what you end up with is that phenomenon of either not having an identity and you're not able to stick around, or you have like an inauthentic like base that just starts to melt away over time.
Yeah.
I think the people that have been around the longest that are now, it works for some people. Like to say that it doesn't is ridiculous. Like there's a reason
Sure.
people do it.
Sure.
But to really build something that's like lasting that you can be proud of, like I think there is kind of only one way to do it, and that's just to start doing it. And it's gonna
Yeah.
change. Like what you start doing day one is not what like we've already started to change what like BurlyFishing is doing in the
Yeah.
last like 4 months. Like it's become different. And I think we're enjoying it, and I don't think ice fishing is going to go away. When it's winter here, like you're going to see some ice fishing videos. I don't know
What
what to
else
tell
we
you.
gonna do?
I don't know what to tell you.
I got 3 videos a week to do, man.
And I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed doing it. Like even if it came down to like I would still want to go ice fishing. You'd still see a couple pop in now and again because it's fun to do, and like I want those videos to be good. Like I think we'll eventually we'll crack the code, but like to where it appeals. But like we're just gonna keep doing it because that's what we want to do. So
We're stuck.
and the second half of that question was like why we started.
Yeah, so we started because we love fishing. And, you know, we were just at a point where we were like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could figure out a way to get paid to go fishing or to get sponsors who give us the fishing stuff we normally buy for free for making, you know, we didn't say making content at the time, but we said for doing something. And originally we were like, should we try to be guides? And like a couple of our buddies are guides and they know all about it. And they were like, no. And we were like, yeah, you're right now. Like, no, sorry, you're not good enough. And also don't have enough years. And also it's not what you think it is. So, you know, it's a totally different ballgame. So, you know, I had a coworker of mine kind of like influence me to do this. He was like, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just record it? And you legitimately see that in my first 2 videos where I'm like, I guess I have a channel now. I said that. I said that in the video. So I guess I'm doing YouTube now. And also, I think in my first actual fishing video, I was on the river and I was like, so fishing's easy. And then I like first cast pike. Like, and you guys know that's not true. All right. So, but yeah, we started because we wanted an outlet for fishing where we could potentially monetize it for ourselves because we were spending all the money on it anyways. And we enjoy it so much and we want it to be a big part of our lives. That would be the dream, right? Be able to fish for a living essentially. And also people were kind of poking us to do it anyways. Cause we like you and I, we just posted or Snapchatted or IG'd or whatever fishing content forever. We had already been doing it forever. So people like would look at us and say like, oh, you're that guy that fishes all the time. Right. And we're like, well, why don't we just do something like, why don't we own it? And that's what we did.
The other thing too, well, one, I just want to mention, like you took your own advice without having that advice to give at one point. It just became, we just started doing it. And, but the impetus behind it was definitely like we had been talking about starting a business together long before YouTube and Instagram and everything else came to be what it was going to be. I mean, the podcast and everything else, like we had talked about starting a fishing related business for a long time. And we went through like tons of different ideas and just kind of kicking them around like while we were fishing basically. Yeah. And this one sort of just like evolved on its own volition. Like the little bit of success that it had kind of drove itself. And then the podcast became, I don't even remember how or why the podcast, I don't remember the genesis of how the podcast became a thing. But it was just the growth of like what we were doing. We're like, well, we should try and do something more. And then like I was like, I want to do a podcast. And so, you know, now it is now it is a thing. And it you know, I like the why I think is kind of has always just been like Jeff's like a serial entrepreneur, right? Like always wants to do something new and always wants to be starting something, you know, and making it on his own. And I think I like doing those things, but having someone else, you know, that has the experience and has the sort of like is willing to like lay the foundation was like huge for me. And so, you know, I don't mind being leading edge, but I don't always get to be the one that's like the first one there. And so, you know, sort of letting Jeff sort of started the YouTube thing, saw some success, and we were like, let's just go all in. And it's become now like we both treat it like a business. I mean, like we approach it very much like a business. Like we treat all of this like a business. The thing that's nice about it is it is totally related to something that we care about. And all of the ideas that we had for businesses before YouTube and the podcast and Instagram and everything else, Facebook and stuff, like before all of that, all the ideas were centered around connecting people, like connecting with people who are new to fishing. Whether it was guiding, our guiding service idea was very much like, I don't want anyone who's good. Like, I don't want people who are like pros. Like, I want people who are looking to have a good time, maybe hang out with their families or see some new water or just like get away from work for a while. Like, that was going to be our guide service. Like, when we were talking about, I still want to own a shop someday.
Tackle shop. But an approachable tackle shop where they don't belittle you.
No,
that was
like
our thing.
The whole idea was like every single shop that I go to, for the most part, you walk in there and you automatically, like if you're not part of like the in crew that goes there all the time, or you're not of the age group of the people that goes there all the time, it is not a welcoming environment. They think it is, but it's not. And so like we're trying to take all that out of it, right? And we had a bunch of other ideas, but they were all centered around connecting people, making people feel really comfortable, making it a welcoming thing that was centered on family and kids and fun, and also learning, and which is very much why we kind of fit in nicely with monster bass. It's not, they're not in your face. They're all about like sort of the average dude, like getting out, trying to catch their PB, do a little bit better. But like, you don't need to be a pro to interact with that brand. Like, you just need to be a person that enjoys fishing and wants to like be part of the community. And that's really what the impetus was like for us. Like, that's how we ended up like kind of in this space instead of like some other like different space. I think anyways.
100%. All right. We promise the rest of the answers to the questions are not going to be long-winded. No. All right. So here we go. So we got Jake Higgins.
This is my buddy. So I've known this guy.
Oh, okay.
I've known Jake since 2011-ish. 2011.
Okay. Sweet.
10 years.
So yes, would you rather laugh every time you fart or fart every time you laugh?
This one is
it's an easy one for me. I would laugh every time I fart. I already do.
Yeah, I would totally. Exactly. It's not much of a change. I think that's where I'm coming from.
Although I would say, if you farted every time you laughed, you would just laugh more, and then you would fart more, and you might actually die.
That's why I'm like gravitating away from this, because this is not a good. This is a formula for disaster.
This is endless. All right, way to break it up from like super serious to the fart question number 2. Paul organized the first 15 questions. You're welcome. All right, Greg the Angler asks, favorite day to eat a fish?
Favorite way? Way.
Why does it say day?
It's called a typo.
Favorite day. Any day that ends in day. Cool. Favorite way to eat a fish? Go ahead, Paul. It's probably very specific.
It is pretty specific. I think fish tacos. I like fish tacos because you can always get it your way. I also like fish tacos because it doesn't require you to eat just one kind of fish at one time, but you can if you want. I like the accoutrement. It's like the Bloody Mary bar of eating fish. Like, that's why you can eat it breaded, not breaded. You can just have it in butter and oil. Like, you can do whatever you want, but it always, no matter what, like, it always comes out good. So I think, and it's very shareable. So that would be my, I think fish tacos.
I like that. That's actually a really good one. I will say that, and I'll tell you guys more after I try the air fryer, because it might be. So we'll see.
I will say the best way to bread fish is cornmeal. I'm willing to go to bat for that. So if you're a fish,
you're gonna die on that
fanatic. Like, have cornmeal in your mixture at least.
Fair.
It is that might change the way you look at fried fish.
Fair enough. All right, next up, BurlyFishing asks.
Who that?
I totally responded to your IG post. Favorite song you've made up on the water? I think it's obvious.
It's not even one close. Song. So I'll do a why can't you be dead? Why can't you be dead? Why can't you just die? And then there are many, many verses about ways that you might die that follow.
Dude, we went deep in the woods, and you guys will never hear it because it's too dark for any social media platforms. But just so you guys know, this is all in good fun. We love each other. We are great friends. And it's just like when you get frustrated with your buddy, rather than saying, dude, you're an idiot. Dude, this is so dumb. Like, we do not use terms like that. We just sing each other a song.
I hope you fall down the stairs. and break your head.
Choke on your hair.
That's my favorite one. Choke on.
So, anyways, we just dreamt up creative ways of each other dying.
Yeah, and then it's usually a half-hour rendition.
Oh, it goes on like all day. Basically, it happens during the time of the day when we're not catching fish and we get frustrated and we're hungry. So we start eating and chilling and the fun juice kicks in, and we're just like, okay. And then we start singing to each other and eventually somebody catches a fish and it's back on and then we go. But we could sing for like 45, 60 minutes, I'm sure. Like there's so many verses that would apply to that song. But anyway, so that's our jam.
Are you going to mess this one up or are you going to get this one right?
Mark Therio.
There it is.
Nailed it. I got it down now.
Friend of the show, long-time listener. Appreciate you sending in a question.
Yeah, he was on the chat. I slaughtered his name 7 times on the chat last live. So sorry, buddy. You guys notice on the chat, like I try to say your last names. I take an attempt. Sometimes I nail them though. Sometimes I do, but chances are I'm gonna mess up.
That then let you know like. This is gonna be bad.
This is gonna be bad. If you hear me take a deep breath before saying your last name, I'm like
collecting your thoughts.
Therio. I nailed it. All right. So anyway, so he asks, how much do you spend on fishing equipment each year? So I actually took this from the last live because we didn't answer it. It came through right at the tail end, and Chaz put it into our Skype chat to make sure we didn't forget. So here we are, and. You know what, guys? We're hoping the number that we say goes way down.
But there's also and this is it gets tricky. This is kind of a tricky
answer.
It
does get tricky.
Like, if you're like me and you're maybe doing a lot of accounting type math, a lot of times you can look at this a couple different ways. There's the raw number,
sure,
which I hesitate to put out into the ether because I don't want to set a bad expectation and I don't want to get shot when someone listens to this later. But like there's the raw number that's out there. And then there's also a return on that money that comes in. So like there's an ROI for every dollar. So like let's say, for example, annually in 2020, I spent $15,000 on fishing
hypothetically
gear.
Speaking. Hypothetically.
Now, let's say that number netted me though, ROI on each one of those dollars, like 30 cents. Then you would take that total number and multiply it by 1.0 or by 0.7. And like maybe that would be the number. And it's more like $8,000.
No big deal.
So also I want to say that like last year we both purchased the kayaks, which are essentially boats, and those are not inexpensive, but that it still counts. So I'm not discounting it, but it's inflating the number.
Yeah, it was like 75% of the total cost we spent, or 50%,
dude.
Okay, the base model kayak or everything all in on the kayak? Because I think everything all in on the kayak has to have been closer to like maybe I'll give you 60%. 60% of the expenditures last year were the kayak, pretty much.
The kayak was, but I will say though, the ROI on the kayak was very high.
No, for sure. But I mean, our goal now is.
Are we going to answer this question or not?
No, I'm not. I'm not putting a number out there. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm not putting a number out there. It's more. I'll say it's a lot more than 7,000 for 2020.
Yeah, it's. Anyways, so the goal though is to start working with some awesome companies so that we don't go spending all our money on rods and reels and tackle, right? So maybe the numbers are way down this year. We'll see.
Or again, we look at this like a business, or the ROI on those dollars becomes 1.1 or higher. So, let's say, I'll make an example. Let's say you spend $50 on buying something for an unboxing for a video, right? Very common thing that happens weekly. Yeah, I mean, but like you expect an ROI on those dollars. So maybe now it's like 30 cents on the dollar. We'll just call it 30. I'm just totally making stuff up. Do not use this as a formula. Let's just say the ROI is like 0.3. So you get an ROI in that. Like our goal, one of our goals, which we'll get into more, would be to make that number 0.5, 0.7, and ultimately 1 point something. So like more than 1, which should mean every time I spend $50 and I put a video out there, between either the podcast or whatever other deals that we have going on, the total ROI for that $50 is actually like $51 or more. So we're actually making money by spending money, if that makes sense. So that would be the goal, and that is part of the problem that we have.
Problem
with
that
having
we're
that
fixing.
number just continue to go up.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. All right, so Cody B 050505 says PB Largy and Smalley and favorite fishing trip. We get this question every single episode ever.
I'm never so I'm gonna draw a line in the sand. I may reference from now for the future of time and until I change my mind, I may reference a weight on a fish because it's like for where we are a staggering number. I'm now gonna just speak almost solely in terms of length.
Yep. Same. Agreed.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair. But I mean it's kind of irrelevant at the same point, just because you guys down south, like, I hope you realize that you have warmer water for longer periods of time and your fish get bigger.
You have different strains of fish.
Yeah,
you don't get. Yeah.
Hope you understand. So if you watch a guy fishing in Michigan catch a 3.5 pounder and get excited, I hope you understand that relative to you, that's like a 6 or a 7 pounder. Like,
I did not know that until like a couple of years ago.
Maybe they don't know that, but I'm sick and tired of having a good time on a 3.5 pounder and having somebody comment like it was only 3 and be like, okay, cool guys, come up to
Michigan, I get it.
Catch a 3.5 pounder.
I get it. There's
nothing I can
do. Like, think about it this way. This is a great way to think about it. Let's say you can only fish 1 pond. It's the only place you can go, or 1 lake. You can only fish 1 lake. I'm just pretend like you can only fish 1 lake. The lake that I fish, the biggest fish in that lake is 5 pounds. And most of the fish are 1 to 2 pounds. Now, Jeff gets to only fish 1 lake forever, but he's in a different place. In his lake, the different lake that he gets to fish, and it's the only one that he can ever fish, most of the fish are 3.5, 4 pounds. And the biggest ones are like 15 pounds.
Yep.
I'm in the Michigan lake, Jeff's in the Alabama lake. That's the difference. So like,
this is real life. That's how it actually is. What it is. Yeah.
That being said, my PB Largy, I just started measuring them this year.
Same.
I caught a 21-incher, a little over 21 inches, and I was unbelievably thrilled catching that fish.
Yeah. I can't remember how long that 5 pounder was that I caught. Because that was my PB.
I don't even know if you measured it.
I think I did. I laid him down. I had no idea. Somewhere closer to 24. It would have been like 22, 23 maybe.
It was a big fish.
It was a big fish. So yeah, that was my PB there.
Smalley,
I have a 21.
I have a 19 from this year, and I was very excited about it. But that's probably
on the river. I remember.
I've never measured before, but we'll call it that.
Yeah. So that's fair. All right.
I don't even have a scale. One of the things that I need to purchase is the scale.
So
I have one of those.
I have one.
Ones,
I'm gonna.
And I hate it, but I really need to not the digital. I need to get a digital scale. I'll put that out for you.
I'm gonna give you one. You're gonna be mad about it, but I have one for you.
Okay, here we go.
It's a Guggen Squad one. I don't remember how I got it, but you're getting it. Anyways, so he'll have a scale, and I got to go fix my Rapala one that busted because I sank it. Anyways, I'll probably just buy a new one. All right. Oh, he did ask and your favorite fishing trip. I think this comes up later, so we're gonna come back.
So Cody, we'll hit that one in a little bit.
We got you, bro. All right. So Kraus Peter.
Kraus Gospeter. That's what I'm going with.
Anyways, favorite pike lure, go.
It's either gonna be a Maps number 5, or it's going to be a jackhammer style. A jackhammer style. What do you call those? What's wrong with me? A chatterbait. Thank you. So I would either say
bladed jig.
Bladed jig, chatterbait type deal, like the Klaken, for example, from Super K, or I would say a spinner bait, like an inline spinner. Those would probably be my 2.
Okay, mine would be a bladed spinner bait, and the jackhammer or the Klaken from Super K jigs. Yep. So yeah, bladed jig. Bladed jig is just too. It's just too fun. It's just too fun because like the way pike key in on lures, like when they're pissed, you run it in front of a weed line and like they're there in the shadows, like just waiting. I don't know if you guys saw this, by the way. This footage freaked me the frick out. But the pike that was just nosing my lure under the ice, what I did is I watched that, zoomed in and everything. I couldn't make it super clear, unfortunately, on YouTube. But if you watched him, the first time he comes into frame and leaves, he goes up to this weed edge. He goes right above it, and you can just see this pike shadow. He just sits there. He just sat there. And the crazy thing is, if you looked even closer, there were crappie, I think, right behind him that were enormous from the distance. Because then I saw him go back there. They were like half the pike size. There were giant crappie in this pond, and I have to go back there and find them. But anyway, so that was like absurd to me. But that's what they do. Like they go and they just sit, and because they have all those fins, they're just chilling. They're just like, "What's up? What's up? What's going on?" You run a chatterbait in front of them, they're like, "Boom!" And then they're just a missile with teeth, and they just eat it.
My follow-up is jerkbait. The only reason the jerkbait is not above one of those is because the 3 treble hooks, I don't like the damage that they can do to either me and or the fish. Not my favorite. Even the 2 treble hooks can be, on smaller fish, can be brutal. I got bit trying to get one out from, I had to go behind the gill, open up the gill plate with hemostat, unhook it, then go back out and when I went back through the mouth to grab like the front of the lure, that's when I got bit. And it's small fish. And so it was like, I don't love that. It just does a lot of damage when I don't think it really needs to. Yeah. The other thing about chatterbait that I'm trying to get over is that a lot of times they get inhaled. Yeah. Like they get inhaled, and you really need to run braid or some kind of, not braid, I'm sorry. You need to run some kind of like leader, steel braided leader. But I have a solution that I have found that I really like, that's I think better than a clip, because I really don't like clips.
Sure.
A loop knot on one of the fly fishing pre-done steel toothy critter leaders from either Rio or Scientific Anglers, but it does require you to tie a knot like 3 or 4 feet away. But like you can get a 5 to 6 foot version of that leader. It's all steel, coated wire,
Yeah.
which I think is a big upgrade, and you can tie a pretty decent knot with it. A loop knot for sure. I'm actually cannot wait to do like a little video for Instagram on that, because I think that's something that like not a lot of people are even aware exists. But you can actually get those in leader material when they're not tapered. I actually have 2 rolls of those that I'm excited to use this year, because I'm sick of losing. How expensive is a jackhammer?
$16-17.
Think about that. And how many times have you been retrieving on a tight line and just sort of...
Oh, it's the worst.
And they're
the worst, man. Yeah, 100%. All right, so next up we got Ren Hog with what made you choose YouTube as a platform and goals for the channel. So we did our in-depth version, so this is going to be a short version. Ready? We chose YouTube because YouTube is like the best search-based platform that exists on the planet Earth, because it's owned by Google. It is also one of those platforms that there's just nobody foreseeing that it will ever go away, knock on wood. There's no reason for it to. There's, things video platforms have tried to replace it in the past. There's just nothing like compares to it. And it's too good of an opportunity. The monetization is unmatched. Like there's no reason not to do YouTube, honestly. And like it's a pretty good partner platform. Like they work really well with you. Some people complain. We don't see that because we don't post, I guess, what most people complaining post that can be deemed inappropriate or whatever as YouTube changes their guidelines. But I don't think we ever will. I mean, unboxing fishing lures, like
they're also fairly positive. Like when you compare the amount of negativity on YouTube compared to like Facebook or some of the others, I don't think it's close.
Yeah. For sure. So we just think it's like the best place to put our content, honestly. Mm-hmm. Second best for us is Instagram. Third best is maybe TikTok, maybe Facebook. I don't know.
I just started posting TikTok some videos that takes off, though, it gets me in a special spot. Like I'm like,
guys, Paul did it. Paul made it work this week. We had a pretty good TikTok. It was pretty good. It's just me I spun in a circle on my chair in my office and was like, look at all this crap. And he
Well,
did the $30,000 in credit card debt song from Family
yeah,
Guy. It's
yeah,
hilarious.
and it's
Um,
banging. I love it.
yeah, goals for the channel, grow as big as we can, help as
We're
many
gonna cover
people as
this
we
one.
can.
We're gonna cover this
How's it
one in a
coming up?
future question. Oh yeah,
We'll
we're gonna
get
get
back,
that one too.
Good question. Sarah Harley, 2011, crankbait specific setup. I just ordered one. I don't have it yet. So
Well, what did you
honestly,
order?
hang on. I got it written down right here. So I have an Akuma setup coming in. You guys will find out why later. The Akuma Guide Select in a medium, 7'5" with a the unfortunately, like, they don't have a lot of low gear ratio reels or baitcaster setups. So I got the Ceros. It's a Cerros, and it comes in a 6.6 to 1. So for me, and Paul's going to agree with this because I only do it because he told me to, the longer rod setup in a medium so you can work the fish better, and with a low gear ratio so you can run the crank literally wherever you want in the water column. It just gives you more control over it. So I think that covers the setup. What would you say differently?
The other thing about that is the medium is a lot of times you can pull the hook right out of the fish's mouth.
Yeah, you don't want to.
So you want to side swipe. You don't need a heavy hook set, and you want a lot of give in the rod for that. You can also, with a lighter rod, there's a certain amount of feel that you're going to want to have, like, as that thing is jittering through the water. The only alternate that I would offer for people is a relatively soft, like medium heavy fast. That's what I'm running right now. It's like I find it to be a soft, medium heavy fast. Yeah. I can watch all the action happen at the end of the rod. Like, that's how soft it is. And I kind of like to be there. A medium is great though. Like a slower is great. I think you have to be longer than 7 foot. I'll say that for sure. Like, that to me is probably the biggest thing. Get a bait casting setup. Do not run this 100%. On a spinning outfit. That's my other thing. So
you'll just, other than
what Jeff said, just whatever you do, make sure you get a decent, and I think a 7.3 is probably okay. A 7.1 I think is good.
So you have a Duckett Silver Rod, bro. It's a Silverado. It's the white rod, and you guys see us use them all the time right now. So, like, I have the exact same setup. We have like the mirror setup, but you have the SLX on yours. Both are 7.3s, medium heavies, but the Silverado is a super whippy, like, extra plush. You have a 7.1. Okay, I have a 7.3, but and then I have the low gear ratio SLX DC on mine, and you have, I think, you might have the 7.3 to 1 on yours on the SLX, right?
And then I actually just switched. So my cranking setup now is like an old. It's not a Veritas. It's a Vengeance, and it's a 7.6, but it's really soft. That's like the only one. Yeah. It's the only rod that I have that whips like that. I really like using it. But I think Jeff's initial comment is perfect. My only caveat there would absolutely, like, make sure you get a cranking setup versus a spinning outfit.
Perfect. Zach _rolling 123, biggest pike or muskie you've ever caught. So you guys just saw me catch mine recently. It was in was that fall? I think it was fall. It was like one of the last MTB boxes I got. I got that Yozuri.
It was definitely fall, and it was, I think it was late October, early October. It was early October.
So just freaking tank in, a tiny lake that's near my house, basically. But yeah, I have no idea how big it was. It was visually the biggest one I've ever caught. I guarantee it was a PB. I have no doubt in my mind. You guys can look at the video if you want to see it. If I had to guess, it was plus 30 inches, and that's all I could give you. I have no idea. It was big. Yep. This year we will. We haven't gone on like pike specific trips. We get into pike all the time because we fish northern waters, and pike are everywhere. They're just native all over the place around us. Rivers, lakes, ponds, you name it, they're there. I can almost guarantee you 90% of the bodies of water we get on, they're there. So what we should do, though, is go target specifically like trophy pike lakes and river spots, because like the river we love to fish has a lot of good ones, but there are spots where there are trophy ones.
I have a list going.
So it's gonna happen. So you guys, we'll get you more specifics. Do you know like the length or weight of one of yours?
Yeah, 41, 42 is my biggest on Lake St. Clair. And that one came like it was longer than the measuring board that I had. And then and that's a pike. And then a muskie, I have I think so it's pretty close. There were two instances where I was pushing 40. I've never caught a huge muskie, but there's two instances where I was pushing 40 for sure. One was a 38, 39 that we got on my birthday trip, actually, with a guide.
That was also my first and only muskie was on that trip so far.
So it's hard for me to take credit for that one. So I kind of won't. Yeah. I caught it almost the same exact size, and I actually have a picture of it on my counter now. Trolling in a kayak on Lake St. Clair off a shelf where like a lot of walleye migrate. I have a picture of that one, and that's actually one of the biggest ones now. My biggest tiger muskie is actually pretty small. My biggest tiger muskie is like 32. So not that big, but still got one on the list. So I'm feeling pretty good.
I have neither of those. Lots of pike. All right. So where are we at? We're at rookie_angling, 45-inch pike or a 4.5-pound smallie. Basically, like choices. What would you rather catch? I don't know if this was a would you rather catch only this or only that for the rest of your life, but given the choice between the two, I'd take that pike all day.
I would take the pike all day. It's not close.
Not even a question.
I'm like tempted, but not really. Like it's like one of those things where like, okay, I'm gonna look at the second option because there was one, and then I look and I think, and then the second I look back at like maybe the 45 again, I'm like instantly like I'm going pike. That's just one of my favorite fish to catch.
If you said 7-pound Sally, I'd consider it way heavier.
But then you'd be saying 51-inch pike, and I would still
pike.
I'd go the other way.
Yeah, if I'm on like Lake of the Woods in Canada and I catch a 51er, get out of town. There's there's no bass unless it's 16 pounds, which is like, I don't know if you saw this, but like Ben Milliken's buddy, they call him the Zark. He caught a 16-pounder in Texas and is like he's like in the running for the lake record over there. But that just recently happened. I think it was like less than a week ago.
But that would be like catching, again, that's like catching a 54-inch muskie. I'd be like, yes. Like casting. I'm talking about casting, not trolling. If you if I'm casting out and I get a 54+ inch, 52+ inch muskie or a 51+ inch, I'm like, yeah, I'm picking that.
We are toothy critter people.
It's cool to get the recognition and stuff that you get with the smallies, and no one will care that you caught that huge critter. But I am in the critter camp. That's
critter camp, dude. I'll be in critter camp forever. You guys down south don't get it. You got to come fish them. You got to catch one, and you'll be like, oh my gosh. It's also like the tournament guys are just like, oh, they keep biting off my lures, or I wish it was bass. Waste of time. I get that, but
what's your saying? Don't ruin someone else's.
Don't yuck my yum.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I don't judge anybody else for picking what they pick. Just don't judge me for what I pick.
Hey, the world would be a better place if nobody yucked each other's yums. You know what I mean? All right, so next up we got some person named Haley Bop 262, and I'm assuming she asks, what does fishing look like for you and Jeff in 10 years? ? 20 years ?
So this is my wife, and then I asked her about this because I was like, "Is this just you figuring out if I'm going to quit anytime soon or not?" And she said it was not a backhanded question; it was a legit question. It's actually a really good question.
It is good. So we talked about this a little bit. We were kind of in a rush getting off the ice yesterday, but because we stayed out way longer than was necessary, because nothing was happening. But we're stubborn anyway. So 10 to 20 years. Still stubborn, still authentic, still doing things that we love. No matter what this looks like in 10 to 20 years, I just want to put it out there because we talked about this. Very important. We'll still be fishing, and we'll still be sharing fishing, probably with our children and then with whomever else wants to go out. Like Paul just did a super awesome, generous thing and gave away some fly fishing stuff with a rod and reel so somebody could get into fly fishing. And like, that's the kind of stuff we want to do. I give you guys stuff all the friggin' time. And I pay the shipping cost to make the thing happen, to get it to you, because I care about you and I want you to have tackle and I want you to have stuff. So, you know, for myself, maybe like growing up, not having enough money to go get fishing gear, like, you know, I feel for you guys and I want to make sure that you have that too. So number one, first and foremost, we'll still be in the community, we'll still be fishing, and we'll still be trying to help other people get into it as well.
And what we talked about specifically was, even if like the business aspect of this is gone, like if the YouTube and the IG and all that, if it doesn't work out for us and it's just not the right move for us, like we are still going to be fishing. Like that's not going anywhere for me. So sorry, Haley. But we talked about this too. It's like, okay, in 10 years, you know, when we look at what 2019 looked like,
right?
We'll say December 31st, 2019 versus December 31st, 2020. Holy smokes. And that was like what I anticipate being the slower portion of growth that we hope to experience, like
exponential.
I would like to see that exponentially grow. And so 10 years, if you extrapolate that, like last year, like all the way throughout, I'm hoping that by that time, this is my full-time job. And I don't know what it will look like, but I hope that this is both of our full-time careers. Like I pay the bills by doing some form of this. Like that is my hope, whether it's working somewhere in the industry, like as an actual like day-to-day job.
Yeah.
And then having this as still a side gig, or the side gig gets big enough to be like the main gig, or there's some weird blend of the two, right? Like I want, like that is one of our goals. So you talk about goals for the channel. That's actually one of our goals. And I'll say that right now, and I don't care who hears it. It's important that people do hear it because we are trying to make something very specific. So that's one thing. And I think the other thing is, I really hope that sort of happens in like the 2 to 3 year range. And then I hope that somewhere after that, we're able to just, like Jeff and I talked about this, like one of the more valuable things that we can get. I mean, money is related to this, but it's the amount of time that you can pour into this. Like this is a nights and weekends thing for me. And that limits what we can do. Like there are so many other things that we would like to pack into what we're doing and do better at and do more of. I want that. I want to start getting into that like bucket of stuff. And then in the 20-year range, I certainly hope that it is that we're growing beyond all of that. That we've like done and dusted the full-time piece of this, and that we're now hopefully doing things that are kind of guiding and changing fishing in general. Like I'll be honest, like one of the things that I think is really important is like really having a firm grasp of like what fishing like means to a lot of people and the ways that they get exposed to it. I hope that changes for the positive, because fishing can be a great thing. It has a lot of negative context that's like out there, and it's mostly rooted in ignorance. And I really hope that we're able to change that and kind of like normalize like the ways that people get into fishing, and it's not just like word of mouth stuff. Like I hope, like I don't want Bassmaster, like professional fishing, to go the way of NASCAR. I want it to go in like a totally different direction and be like a growing thing that like gets better at what it does. And I hope that fishing with your family becomes like a bigger thing that grows and is like more of a positive thing. And I hope that it becomes even more normalized. Like I hope it goes like the opposite direction that like hunting went like for the last 20 years. And I hope it's kind of making this great U-turn, and like the whole idea of like feeding yourself and feeding your family and being an ethical hunter and taking like the tenets of hunting that people really like and like bringing those out and getting rid of some of the really negative ones. And I hope that it starts like branching out with other industries and things like that. Like I hope that that's what happens with fishing.
Ditto. No, so like so for me, like the 10-20 year mark, I would also say like guaranteed in 10 years, guaranteed in 3 years, I want to be doing this full time. 3 years is actually my goal, to be doing this full time. Like I want to make content for you guys full time. I'll just put it out right here. It's something that I knew was going to be fun. It's not something I knew that would be fun enough that I would put in 20 to 30 hours a week and make 5 cents an hour doing and be super okay with. Like, so, wouldn't it be nice if it actually became like that paycheck, right? So my goal is to make this full time. I do want to make content for you guys full time. It would be amazing. 10, 20 year mark for me, it's going to be, like Paul said, like, how do we expand the world of fishing? How do we help more anglers get into it, and normalize that for everyone and make it, more approachable, for one. For two, we want to be a bigger part of the fishing industry. So for me, my dream since before the beginning of this would have been to just have our names on something, right? I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's lures. I don't know if that's a box. I don't know if that's rods and reels. I don't know what it is, right? But we'll see. I don't know. I'm like little hint for you guys, a little preview, if you will. There is something that I'm working on with Monster Bass that will probably be like an April thing that you guys could expect. And I think you'll like it. I think it'll be cool. And maybe it's the first iteration of us trying to be more involved in the fishing industry in some capacity, right?
I'll also say just like more, which is not like something that like I think everyone wants to hear.
Sure.
But like the whole part of like making this the full-time gig is so that you can just do more of this, like more of the side. I want the side gig to like, I want the 100%. Side gig to Pac-Man my regular job.
Well, it's like, we get to fish with each other one day a weekend on a very short time frame. What it would mean to be able to do this full time is that could be several days a week, and we'd still have time with our families and not feel like we're sacrificing. You know what I mean? What was that? 6.
That was me saying 5 days a week and then putting up another finger for 6.
I was like, because I was fishing yesterday and you were just doing freaking numbers. You're just like 1, 2. Like, are we doing this thing again? What are we doing here? All right, so we got to jump through some questions here and keep moving. Let's go to Kyukin, which I'm pronouncing like Hadouken from.
Hold on. What about Musty Hobbit from IG?
Oh, did I miss that one? All right, so Musty Hobbit. How do you get a leery spouse involved? Doesn't want to handle fish. I'll give you my 2 cents on it real quick. Much like getting anybody involved in fishing or hunting or the outdoors or anything for that matter, video games, like whatever you're into, if you want to get somebody else into it, here's how not to do it. Force them into it, throw them the fish, make them hold the fish, make them stay out there for 9 hours, just completely ruin the day and leave them frustrated because they don't know what the heck they're doing. So they're basically just punching their head for 9 hours. I would say ease them into it 20, 30 minutes. So what's the best thing you can do for kids, spouse, friends, whatever? Go to a pond where you know there are fish. Maybe go bluegill fishing. Do something easy, like put a worm on a hook, rig a bobber above it, and go plug bluegill. And that's how Paul got me into fishing. Like, they'll win. You're going to win. Like, give them a win, an easy win for the first 5, 10, 15 times you guys go out. Start with 30-minute time intervals and then go up. And eventually they'll be like me and Paul now, where I'm like, bro, is there only 24 hours we can fish today? Or can we fish 36 hours today?
How many monsters will it take me to get through the night?
All of them.
Yeah. I'll go a step further. I'll say, don't make fishing the side thing that you're doing. So if you got kids or a spouse, like whatever it is, like go to a park, go to a public park, bobber fish, put a bell on the end of it, shove that thing into the ground, and then just walk away. And when the bell rings, go catch a fish. I've seen this at our family cottage, and it really works. It gets you excited. You forget about the fact that you're even fishing at all, and you just get to experience the fun parts.
Yep.
So go frisbee, go eat lunch, go do whatever you're gonna do, and you don't even have to stare at the rod. Like, it is. I'll take that one piece a step further. The other thing too is, I'll be honest, like my wife will do that kind of fishing. She'll sometimes go out on like a kayak trip and just get a tan and read a magazine and maybe cast for 20 minutes.
Same.
And you have to be comfortable with whatever you get.
Mm-hmm.
I just be comfortable with the fact that, like, if you're going to fish with your spouse, if they're not into it, and if they're not into it at all and it doesn't work out, like you're doing all the right things and they're just like, I don't like doing this, be like, then this is now me time, and you just have to be okay with that.
That's called a relationship.
Yeah, man.
That's how relationships work.
Think of it this way: like, if your wife is big into knitting, which is totally cool, but if your wife's into knitting and you're not into knitting, or you don't understand it, or you've never done it, Imagine what she would go through trying to get you into knitting. She'd be like, we're going to watch a movie. You're going to crochet a thimble. And that's it. I mean, like, I'm not going to ask you to make anything bigger complex. Can you please braid 3 strands? And like, think about how that would be for you, right? And then flip it. Just be okay if it doesn't work out, and don't stress about it too much.
I feel like you just threw out some like what you assumed were knitting keywords just there.
No. I thought of the smallest thing that you could knit, and thimble popped in my head. So that's it.
I love it. Yeah. So if they don't want to handle the fish, man, who cares? They don't need to handle the fish.
You will handle every single one. Yeah. And be great with it.
And be grateful for it, for your time together. Enjoy each other, and don't enforce your hobbies on each other.
If you go, don't force your hobby on somebody else. and if they're not digging it, and you go home early, be like, man, I'm so glad I get to eat lunch at 11 instead of 7 p.m. I mean, just that's it.
Slash, I didn't eat anything today or drink any water.
Then there.
Why do I feel like a human trash can?
So yeah, good question though.
Awesome, man. All right, so Kyukin, 2 questions here. Fish you've never caught but would like to catch. Go. Peacock bass.
Really?
That's 1. Gar pike. 2. A shark. Tuna.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, salt water. It would probably be a saltwater.
Probably something salt, yeah.
Probably be a saltwater fish. Alligator gar's on the list for sure.
Bro, it'd be cool. Bonefish in the flats on the fly.
I was trying to think of whether it would be like a GT or a bonefish. Like,
yes.
The only thing about a bonefish is that it's kind of a guided thing, but so is GTs. I honestly, so I'm going to say this right now. Fish that you would only yourself. Yeah, I want to do it on my own. I don't want to be guided. And so like all of those fish, which puts most of the saltwater fish, like they're all kind of like a 1B. Like they all sound great. Salt fishing is so cool, but it's so far outside of my experience. Sturgeon. Number 1 final answer, sturgeon.
Okay.
Do it DIY worm in like a bay in Seattle, and then out of a kayak. That's what I'm going with.
Go with it. So I would say a Florida or Florida trip for peacock or arapaima, which are now unfortunately sneaking their way in there, invasive species. But arapaima get freaking huge, so that'd be sweet.
I like it.
It's like a bowfin went Super Saiyan.
Yeah, but not Super Saiyan 3. That's
not Super Saiyan 3. Like two. They don't have blue hair yet.
Oh God. All right, so Kyukin, follow-up question: dream location you'd like to fish one day?
It's too many. Like same as before.
Mine's easy.
Too many. It's like you want me to give you one?
Yes, mine's easy.
You go first to help me.
Boundary waters, northern boundary waters for pike. Period.
Okay. I'm probably the same. Yes. I just want giant pike, man. I want giant pike. I would say just because it's huge, there's trophy everything in it. Yeah. Lake of the Woods.
Yeah, that's fair. And or even further north. Like I'd go way up. Just we're talking somewhere in Canada.
Well, we've been talking about this for a while, and like I told you guys before, my dad used to go with my grandpa and my uncle to a fly-in only camp on a reservation, and they got guided and they caught monsters. Like I would love to go to one of those. That'd be amazing.
There was a follow-up question though, because this one is like attainable. So this is like my personal like. Yeah, it's attainable. Like I will do this at some point. It's not a question.
Guaranteed.
It's just like, will I be 36 or 37? Like that. What's my
within the next year it'll happen.
So it's that one is kind of a no-brainer. The next question as a follow-up was like one place, and this was Mantra Fishing, who does some really cool ice content, by the way, on
also,
IG.
He won one of our giveaways too.
Yeah.
So.
His question was, if you could fish one place / lake with no financial limitation, where would you go? Jeff, I feel like you answered this.
Did I?
Yes, at some point. I feel like I know what. No.
What did I say? Tell
GTs.
me my answer.
Wasn't it GTs? Like go like on a 5.
I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, you're like in the Caribbean. You're like, getting some sun, feeling pretty good. Fly fishing the flats, like that'd be sweet. Or I would also say, because I'm just jealous of these guys going on this trip, but those Amazon boat trips.
I'm gonna be dead. I watched the Meat Eater version where they like did
Yeah.
the hairy version of that, and like it's not that I'm not interested and wouldn't go if given the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, but like if I was totally loaded and just could do whatever I want, there's a lot of like just things that don't interest me that are involved with like going to do that
Mm,
that I'm like not sure that I would be down for. Like I wouldn't get too like the level of jacked up that I envisioned being with this trip.
sure. Sure.
Like I'm envisioning being so excited that if I was rich, I couldn't not do it. Like that, and like the Amazon thing, like I would do, but I wouldn't be as excited as like going way north into Canada and doing something like that. It's kind of hard because like Americans like all have the same kind of like cool idea. Like I want to go to Belize and I want to get into the
Yeah.
mangroves and fly fish or whatever. I want to go like target bonefish or like there's always like really cool things that you can do.
Yeah.
My stuff is like, man, just like maybe I'm low brow, but like
It's all actually attainable
yeah,
right
yeah, like
now.
all the stuff I can do is like
I
within like
agree. I agree.
12 hours and like I could just like go do it.
Yep.
Um okay, that spot in Idaho. There's like a lake in is it Idaho? I'm pretty sure it's Idaho. It's out west. I'm gonna have to look it up like while we're doing some of this.
Yeah.
You basically take a ladder out into this like lake, and it's like the largest rainbow trout like that have ever live out there. And you just like you could there's guides that do this, but you fly fish for these. Like you stand up on a ladder and you get like into the water, and then like up to your right up to the top of your waders, you put a ladder like an actual like ladder into the water. You climb up it and you cast out with a fly rod, and it's like 3 foot long rainbow trout. And like this is the only lake that they've ever existed. It's like a strain of trout. I'm gonna pull it up. We'll
That's
have to go to the next
nuts.
one. I'm gonna pull up right now. That might be like the trip where I was like, if I was gonna take a week to do something, like
Yeah.
that would be on the list for sure. I'll be honest, I don't have a dream list, and I don't even ever think about it. I'm gonna be
No.
honest, I'd never do.
We
Like, it
live
all
in the
sounds cool to
moment,
go to the
people.
Bahamas and do this, but like, it's not. These are like so far off my radar.
Eventually we'll get there, guys. Talk to us in
I'm
2
just
years. All
lame.
right.
Sorry, my
So
answers are.
Wish Fishing Wisconsin asks coldest, windiest day you've ever ice fished. It was pretty cold yesterday, but it was nowhere near minus temperatures. I don't think I've gone out in minus temperatures. He said he had a minus 25 and like
Well,
extremely windy.
minus 25 in blustery is absolutely brutal. I'll give you one that's close. Jeff and I went out. It was close to zero. This was last year, almost to the dot, um, on Houghton Lake, and I was out a little bit before Jeff
No, that
on the
was
first day,
Higgins.
or
That
Higgins
was
Lake. I was
Higgins.
out a little bit
That
before
was
Jeff.
bad.
It was like 18, 19 mile per hour straight winds, no gusts. Like that was just the wind, and it was zero-ish, and that
Yeah.
was I mean, I had no shelter at
Nope.
all. And I had a bucket, I had a hand auger, I had 2 buckets and a hand auger, and that was it.
We were
That
getting
was that
wrecked.
was pretty rough. That's probably and it will be ice. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he specified ice fishing.
Hmm.
I don't think I've ever fished in. We had 12 to 20 mile per hour gusts last year on the first day of our little pike venture. The
Yeah.
day that turned into our pike venture. That's
But it
probably the
wasn't that
windiest.
cold.
No, but that's probably the windiest day on a kayak that I've
Sure.
ever had. Well, because
Sure.
like you can only be so cold. Like at some point,
Yeah,
it's
for
your ice fishing.
for sure. At some point you're ice fishing. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got next? We got Cody B050505. Biggest fish through the ice, biggest gill through the ice. Biggest fish, well, for me was that bass you guys saw me catch the other day. I haven't caught a pike through the ice. This is like my second season ice fishing, so hopefully I get one at some point. Biggest gill, I don't know. Had a decent one yesterday. Probably had some palm size, like nothing, no gargantuans for me. Not yet.
Biggest fish through the ice.
It's got to be one of your pike.
No, yeah, I'm trying to think of, because it was actually not on a tip up.
This is one you jigged in.
I jigged in like it was like a 30, maybe 36, 35, something like
That's
that.
freaking
It was a giant, and it was on. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even realize that I
Isn't
was
that
like
when it always
not.
happens?
I didn't know that I was even like not fit. I didn't even know I was jigging. I didn't even know that I had braid on. Like I had. It was like my first year ice fishing,
Yeah.
and I had
You had like
like
that
a
magic ice braid or
I had a
something.
bladed jig on. I didn't even. I still have that blade. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was literally just. I didn't even have electronics. I was just doing
That's
this
awesome.
in a random place and hooked into a freaking big pike. Thank God I had an 8-inch auger. Yeah, I've never gotten any catfish through the ice, but that's probably when we go do that at some point. Like that will probably be the biggest fish that I ever catch through the ice, with the
Sure.
exception of like if you get into like a giant pike
Sturgeon,
or a muskie or
trout, giant
something.
pike.
Even a,
Yeah.
yeah. So, um, and then what was biggest gill? I know I've gotten, I know I've gotten 9+ inches.
Yeah.
I've gotten some. I've gotten like I don't keep those, so and I don't really measure a lot of like I don't measure them on the ice, so
Right.
it's kind of like a not fair thing. But I've caught a couple. There's a lake really close to me that produces like some pretty dang big panfish,
Yeah.
and like to the point where and I have 2 or 3 spots that just like consistently produce like consistently catch like keepers. So I'm
Yep.
in it for like the 6 to 7 inch range, and I'm weeding through big fish to get to those
Nice.
fish. That's fair.
Yeah. 100%.
Good
Deer
question
Hunter
though.
Deer Hunter Nate 50 asks, favorite way to eat fish. Didn't I answer this already? I think we already answered this question.
You answered on Instagram.
I put it on here twice. We answered it today on this podcast, like within the past hour. So there you go. Reference back to the beginning of the podcast. Cody B050505. You ask a lot of questions, man. Favorite fishing trip you have ever taken? That's a good question, though.
It is a good
Favorite trip that we've been on? Um, oh my God, that's tough. We've had some good ones. Last year we had a lot of good ones. We've had a lot of good ones before then, but before then I was nowhere near the angler I am now. So within the last year, I would say the trips are getting better just because I kind of know what I'm doing, and I used to ask Paul a lot of questions. I would be like, bro, what do I do? And Paul's probably happy I asked less questions. But now I feel self-sufficient, which makes it more rewarding for me. So I'd say within the last year, they've been more rewarding type trips. Um, the camping adventure with the giant or the stretch of, so many pike that we were catching was definitely up there. Gosh, I'm racking my brain now
The
for
secret
something.
spot
The
when you caught
secret spot,
where you caught your PB that 3 days that we
honest,
had.
yes, honestly,
Yeah.
my whole freaking summer there was awesome. But that trip, that one right there was amazing. So it's the what do we call that one? It was a slam. It was the Mega Slam. So if you guys
Oh,
go
that's
back and you
right.
watch the Mega Slam part 1 and 2,
Hmm.
that lake is one of my favorite lakes of all time forever because it's just packed with tanks and it doesn't get fished and it's awesome. And I'll never tell you where it is because I love you
Yeah.
guys. That's why.
I One of the things that gets really hard about trips is that we are constantly going to new places. Jeff and I have talked about how we can like, how do we like
Own that.
contextualize a lot of our trips because, we go to new water 80 to
Almost every time.
90% of the time that we fish
Yeah.
and when it's warm out and when it's cold. I'll be honest, like the
Yeah.
place we went, I had never ice fished before. I don't,
Me
it's
neither.
just, it's a very it gets challenging. And we were talking about like
Mm.
watching other people who are from like the Midwest, like go down south and expect to have a bunch of success, but then like don't do very well, and it's because they're fishing new water. And I'm like, dude, that's what we do every weekend. That's what we end up doing. So like 3 days is probably the sweet spot. I'd like to have 4 every time we go, just because you need a day to get your feet wet and like figure out what's going on. Then you have to get the weather kind of like on your
Mhm.
side, and there's a lot of times where like it's just raining one day and you're like, oh, it's gonna suck. Um, and then then you'll have like the stretch of like one day where you're just banging them out. And then
Right.
like the next day, like the rest of it's just kind of like hit or miss. And so like trips, like there's so many things that have to go right for you to have like that magical like sort of trip. We're very fortunate that it's usually just us, that we usually are having like there's like a standard amount of fun that we always have, even on like the worst days. So
Yep.
it is hard to pick apart those. Jeff's answers would probably be my answers as well. And I just wish we could go on more. I really do. And speaking of trips, so it's Pyramid Lake. It's in Nevada, and you're going for Lahontan cutthroat trout, and they're gigantic. So
yeah.
that would be like my like I would geek out over that trip. And you get on a ladder and you're casting out for like this strain of fish that's just like been protected and shielded against time for like for its entire existence. It's incredible. Yeah. So Pyramid Lake in Nevada. Somebody actually reached out to me last year and was like, "Hey, do you want to go on this trip?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really do. I'm not equipped to go, but like I definitely want to go on that trip."
Let's get equipped, bro. All right, so Bobby Tran 72, he did call us out on why didn't we like do the whole thing in Wisconsin and like cook the fish?
Yeah.
You know, for context, end of like 16 and a half hours of fishing, super tired.
Got up at 4.
Got up at 4 that day. Paul was cleaning like 800 fish and was tired and cranky and needed some brewskis.
Yeah.
And, basically I was put in charge of cooking it. And I was like, let's just chuck them in here. And we just fried them up. That's it. And they were delicious, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you
salt
ever
and pepper
had,
only? Just
have you ever
fried up.
Have you ever had just like fish and oil? It's good. Like it's not.
It was really good.
It's good. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, don't knock it.
It's better. It's arguably better fried, but it's arguably delicious on its own. Yeah, good question though. Good looking out. I like the level of watching that's happening.
I know. I told him desperate times, bro.
That's exactly what it was.
Ethan Elliott. There's a lot of T's in your name, bro. I couldn't actually tag you, I don't think, on Instagram because you had so many friggin' T's in your name. Like, so Ethan Elliott, whomever you are, take away those T's. Do like T squared or something. So Monster Bass or MTB for budget fishermen and women?
It's not a question.
I don't know.
Well, even without them being like a brand, there's a reason we're affiliated with them. We both bought both boxes for years.
Yep. So if you guys are like, oh, they just jumped on the MB bandwagon, you are incorrect.
I had MTB.
We have been buying them forever.
I need to pull up my account one day and show, because like I've had it since like I need to pull it. It's like 2014 or something. Like I have like all these. I like went and logged in recently, like to MTV. I have like all those old boxes, like they're all logged in there, and I was like, oh my god. The main reason is one, the whole like location thing, like getting something that's like targeted for like where you are. So like getting a Midwest Great Lakes box is sweet versus getting the Florida box. It is a little bit predictive. Like you're gonna get some stuff where you're like, well, I can't use this today, but like in 4 weeks, like it's gonna be the bait that you're glad you have in your box. Sure. The other thing too is it's all you get a nice combination of things that are like that you could just go get at the store for yourself, for example, that you would get for yourself. But then there's some things in there from like smaller companies that are really new and really innovative, and they do kind of push the envelope. Like I would never have bought, or even thought to bought, like the finesse frogs from Z-Man. That's like my favorite example because I had such a great time fishing them. And I wish I was like more involved with Monster Bass at the time, because I would have liked to have made a video on that finesse frogs. That's actually probably something I should do. And I just had so much success right off the bat. And I was like, I never would have had this experience were it not for Monster Bass. And you get that a lot. I mean, I've actually had that happen to me a bunch of times, which is why I'm still involved.
Yeah, and they do have different cost boxes, so you can get the national box if you want to save a couple bucks. You can use code SAVE15 to get your first box for $10. SAVE15. Basically free. And I think it's worth it, and you think it's worth it, and that's why we're on the team. Yeah. But we spent a lot of money to get here. Like we tried all the boxes.
It cost me to wear this hat. Yeah. I definitely have recommended it to like a bunch of my friends too that are like we talked about like trying to get other people into fishing. I actually think it's a great way to do it because like it inspires you to try something new and get out. And when you get it like at the end of the month, it's just like or at the beginning of the month, it's like a really cool like all right, I'm gonna go fish like these new lures that like I never would
Right.
have even known to pick. And so when you talk about being a budget fisherman and woman, you're probably getting 25% off like your regular cost, if not more. Um, and it's kind of a sunk cost, like you don't see it. So you're not like going to
Mhm.
Cabela's and being like, I'm only gonna spend $25 and you leave spending 90. Like it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
spend like this much, but I know I'm gonna get a lot more for my money. So that's my pick. But they both kind of have. You can make
Yeah.
an argument for either one. I would go MB.
There you go. Backlasher says most used fishing accessory. Now this one was this is a tricky question because we're like, what is that? What did you define an accessory as? However, ignoring your fish finder, your boat, we'll just not call those accessories,
Ignoring your
rods,
paddle.
reels, etc., paddles, blah blah blah. Then when we get to the nitty gritty, I think sunglasses are easily by far and large the one thing I can't forget on any trip. Therefore, an accessory like that I would be. It's the most used. Next to that, maybe sunscreen, but only during certain months. But
Yeah,
sunglasses all day.
we did a whole
Hat.
thing. We actually did a whole thing like way back in the day of like we might even
It's a
do another one.
podcast.
It
Yeah.
is on the podcast. But okay, so mine that gets the most used, like, and I can't argue with Jeff. I use it the most, like sunglasses or hat or hat.
Yep.
It's not close, like that's it. But as far as like I'm thinking of like what tools or like neat things do you have that are kind of like nice to have but not need to have. So I put glasses and hat in the need to have category. So if I'm going outside of glasses and hat,
Line cutters.
yeah, like some sort of like my ideal accessory that I would never want to be without and would like consider going back to the truck if I was already out in the water would be a pair of pliers with a good pair of line cutters on them.
Yeah.
And then if you made me pick between one or the other, I'm probably going line cutters.
Mhm.
Um, I'm actually messing with some stuff this year. I'm going to do some scissors, which I've like kind
I
of
got some too.
yeah, I've sort of
Yeah.
shunned them in the past. I'm gonna go scissors this year, and then a separate pair of pliers that's just
Yep.
pliers.
Yep.
I will also make the case for hemostats. So if you don't know what those are, they're like a little pair of scissors with no blade, and they're very tiny, and they're like just little scissory little things that
See
can
him in
get little
fly
tiny
fishing
hooks
a
out.
lot.
The thing
Yeah.
I like about them is that you can very easily just like clip them to things,
Yep.
and then unclip them
Including
very
a hook.
easily. I clip mine to like my GoPro
Yep.
chesty, like little piece of elastic, and it's always right where I need it, no issue. So no zinger or anything. I like that, but that I would say some combination of plier, wire cutter, would be like if you could have one thing that gets used that I have always used the most.
Right.
Those are it.
Perfect. All right. From there, we go to Greg the Angler. How to rig Rattle and Neds. I'll tell you how to rig Rattle and Neds. It's a Ned rig. You put it on a jig.
Traditional, don't get a weedless hook. I like a quarter ounce more often than not in big water. An eighth is fine, or as close to that as you can get. And then I don't like the weedless rigs as much as I used to at
Mhm.
all. I like just a straight up Ned rig, which is kind of like how you would like do a traditional like a jig.
Yeah. So I will counter that with an EWG style Ned head because of the fact that the Rattle and Ned does not stand up. So it doesn't behave like the Shark Deuce. Like the Z-Man finesse turd stands up. It's
Because it
more
floats. It's
more
so
buoyant,
buoyant.
more buoyant. It'll stand up. The Rattle and Ned will always fall over. So the way I use it in the rivers is I just toss it in the trash, like not a trash can. I use them a lot, but I just straight up throw it out of your boat. Goodbye. No, I will throw it up into literally, the worst looking structure you can possibly find. So like those log jams you get up to, toss one in there and like you're just rattling around trying to like, piss off a smallie and the smallies will come eat it all the time. And like I'll just hammer them on that.
That dark green color takes the best advantage of the
Yeah.
rattle and makes it better for the situation that Jeff is specifically talking about because the dark silhouette, it is a little bit bigger, I think. It's like right in between the finesse turd
It's the
and
same size.
is it the same size as
It's
the
the
finesse
same
turd? I
size.
feel like it's
Yeah.
bigger.
No.
But it's like with the dark silhouette combined with the rattle is what makes it great for darker water
I
rather
think we
than light
use
water.
California craw the most when we use them. I think it's a California craw.
Goldy, sparkly fleck, like dark.
It's either California or Canada craw. Maybe it's Canada craw. Anyways, so there you go. So throw it that way. Okay, Ella. I never have tried to say your last name. I'm gonna try and say it now. I tried to say it. No, I ignored attempting it.
Musamichi.
Oh, you went for it.
This is how I would do it. I'm just gonna launch it and then I'm moving on.
I love it. It's like YouTube's cuz on Ruds. All right, so Ella Musamichi definitely nailed it. Best time of day to throw a frog. And I answered you on IG, but to call it out here, we go like low light is generally when we'll throw them. So if you can get first light, last light, or in the summer, noon. Like for whatever reason, all summer last year.
Not in open water.
Not in open water, but like when it was just super hot, we just plowed over to like, the pads or the trash and just started like casting up in there. And we got a ton of frogfish this year. I think we plugged them on frogs and I felt good about it. So low light, try it. You're just going to have like that silhouette of the frog and the noise from the frog, and you can go wherever you want with it. But whenever light conditions are lower, and then midday, super hot temps, pads all day forever.
Yep.
Cool. Fishing with Brad, all-time favorite bait lure when bass fishing. And I think nope, that's a plastic question. That's the next one. So yeah, so fishing with Brad, all-time favorite bait or lure when bass fishing. Now that's a tough one, and I thought about this one for a second because obviously you guys would think I would say Ned rig. However, the Ned rig is a lot of fun. Is it my favorite thing to fish? No, because it takes specific conditions and it's very slow usually, even if you power finesse it. So if you're subtly aggressive, you might trigger some bites, but the opportunity to be subtly aggressive is a little bit far and fewer than you would think. So my favorite of all time is a square bill, and my favorite square bill to throw of all time is the mini mag right now from 6 Cents. And it's just because it's huge. It's a silent square bill, which is why I'm excited to get the Rudd square bill, by the way, in next month's Monster Bass box to see how it matches up to this. But running a square, I don't know what it is. You can knock it off of cover. You can throw it literally anywhere. I love fishing shallow anyways. So for me, fishing a square bill is just like hands down one of my favorite things to do. And I love that mini mag. Just the size of it just plugs them. So.
This was hard.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to tip it, because you said, what's your favorite? So I'm going with the same out that Jeff used. Normally I would say like a Rapala DT6, or like a Bandit 100 size square, crankbait. I love crankbait fishing. It works for me, and I love this like surprise-ish feeling, but like I have a lot of confidence, so like I expect it. So there's just like this validation fun combo that's really good that I get fishing a square bill. And then you can do it anywhere. So like I always have one tied on. I'm not gonna go that direction. I'm gonna go the head and torpedo. The topwater takes are so good. You can fish them. I fish them all the time, everywhere. Whenever the weather starts to turn nasty and like I'm on the water, I know I'm going to get a giant.
Yep.
I just know I'm going to get a giant. And then right before it's time for us to go to bed is when I want to fish one. Like when it's like almost too dark to fish and you don't know what you're casting at, I know I'm going to get into them. And the topwater takes are just too much fun. And not a lot of like the younger crowd like even carries these in their box anymore. So there's a big like FU that I enjoy as well. So I'm going the head and torpedo, and it's just so much fun.
That's fair. I would say, yeah, like my close second would be the Ned rig or actually a frog. So like topwater, nothing beats a topwater blow up, you guys.
Oh, it really doesn't.
Topwater blow ups are stupid. They're so dumb.
It's so great.
It never gets old is the craziest part about it. You're never like, oh man, that topwater was pretty lame. You're like,
one option that has skyrocketed on my list is a buzzbait. It never used to be on my list.
True.
But like the take that you get on a buzzbait is like it's an assault. It's never even on the giant, it's like so much more of an actual assault.
For sure. We're We're gonna fish them more for
Oh
sure
yeah.
this year. All right, so Brad Park, and this one got me deep.
I love
Barring
that
the
you did it.
barring the shark deuce, what is your second favorite? He already knew this first. I was like, you gonna take that shark deuce from me? Second favorite soft
If
plastic
you don't know
color and
what the
type.
shark deuce is, I
Oh
want to
yeah,
learn. We're gonna learn you.
we're gonna learn you for a second. So the
It's
Shard
the
Deuce is what we lovingly call the Z-Man Finesse TRD, the turd or the real deal, in the copper truce color. It's just our favorite color of it. There are plenty of great colors. A lot of guys like bubblegum or the deal, for example. I know Debo, I sent Debo the what did I send him? The goat, the new goat from Z-Man in that mystery box I sent him the other day. And I gave him that in the deal because I knew he liked that color. But that's like a black and blue, like baby blue, like shiny blue. It's a really good color too. But dude, something about the copper truce in the waters we fish just
it's
is
just it,
unmatched. I have all the other colors. I'm telling you guys, I've tried them all. Something about the copper
the
truce.
the only one I found that's close, and it really isn't. The only one I found that's close is that craw, the orange and like dark like
Molten craw.
black. Yeah,
Molten craw. Yeah.
mullet craw. That's the only one that I found that's close, and the only
Yeah.
time that I pick it over the shark deuce is in darker water.
Muddy river.
Yeah,
Like, well,
like muddy
muddy-ish.
for us, like when it's
Yeah.
muddy
Yeah.
compared
Yeah. Yeah.
comparatively. Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
not
Not
close though.
chocolate milk. But yeah. All right. So second favorite here, color and type to fish with any style. So I chose a paddle tail. Specifically, the one I throw the most is a white Kitech. It is, in any size, honestly, like small size, I'll throw as a trailer on a spinner bait, for example, works great. Bigger size, I'll go on a chatterbait trailer or, just some form of weighted jig, belly hook, belly weighted, hook or whatever. Like I'll throw it on something and just swim them around. I think it's one of my favorite search baits and I just have a ton of them. So,
Yeah, this is hard.
bro, you just got to go with your gut.
Yeah, no, the thing is like the answer would be different like depending on the day of the week. I'm gonna go the upsized zoom fluke.
I knew you were
I
going to
would
say
either say white
that.
or bubblegum. Uh
Yes.
no one I just don't see a lot of people running them, and I love when I catch a fish on them. And you can either run it. It's so versatile. You wouldn't think it's very versatile
Exactly.
because it's like a jerkbait. It's murderous on an EWG with no weight as a jerk bait. It is a
Mhm.
killer. It actually is a real killer on a spinner bait because while a paddle tail is great and I love running a paddle tail,
Mhm.
sometimes all you need is the profile because you're
Yep.
getting all the action and the sound with the spinning blades. So like on a spinner bait, it can crush. And then you can run it pretty much any other rig that you want. You can run on a net head. You bite the
Yeah.
front off, and it actually runs really well in net head. So yeah, Zoom Fluke. That's the final answer. The big size, like the 3.5 or whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. So Angel Saavedra, one and two. Oh, he has two questions. Sweet. All right. So once the ice is gone, what's the first lure or bait you're gonna throw? And is there a technique you feel you need to practice on or get better at? Wacky Texas rig, drop shot, finesse fishing, etc. So the first thing I'm gonna throw when the ice is gone is probably a suspending jerkbait. I don't care what water I'm in. That's actually a technique that I do also need to get better at. So it's kind of a double whammy. I would say, yeah. And then the other side note on this would be later on, a little later, would be swim baits, which is something I need to throw and get better at. So
Period.
period, because I've never thrown them, not even once.
Not
So
really. Yeah.
something I'm gonna quit. I promise you guys, I'm gonna quit turning my nose up. You can go back see my unboxing. You see me unbox like some plastic swim baits, and I've been like, 1 ounce swim bait. Who uses these?
Who even?
So I saved them all. I still have them all. I'm gonna fish them all, and you're allegedly going to get a swim bait set up, and I'm allegedly going to get a swim bait set up, and we're allegedly going to start swim bait fishing. So
And we're
that's
gonna use them
definitely
for muskie as soon as Canada opens the border.
yeah.
So I same answer. Period. It's not. I
Yeah,
mean, it wasn't even a question. It's the same answer.
no, 100%. It's, suspending jerkbaits for us are just money. And I resisted them for too long because I'm a dummy head. So now I'm going to do better things. Anyways, so number two he had, 'cause even though that was a two-part number one, now we have another one. So if you could visit any state to fish, which would it be and why? Assuming we don't want to just fish Michigan, what other state would we fish? Texas. I'd say Texas or Florida, specifically the good Florida lakes, which are northern Florida mostly. But Texas just has more options, man. Just way more options.
It has more quality options without going to like super heavy pressured water. You can go to a small spot in Texas and still have a shot at catching a ton of great bass. They also have some really unique water. So like not quite as deep. Definitely very kayak friendly area versus Florida. Not so much. So I would say Texas. And the other part of it, the flip side would be, depending on what time of year you go there, there's so many hunting options. I'd go shoot some stuff.
And I'd watch you shoot some stuff. I'd be camera guy Jeff on board. All right. So last question, you guys. We're closing this one out. So Thomas Martin Beckett Jr., who I think asked this question today. So I caught you, man, just in time. What is your dream fish that either of you had not caught yet? Did we answer this one?
We did. I'm sticking with my answer. I'm not changing. Sturgeon.
Sorry, bro. Sturgeon.
Good question, though.
What did I say? Peacock bass?
Yeah.
I think it's peacock bass. Or Arapaima. Yeah. No, it's a great question. So there, I had to give you a shout out anyways. Yeah. But same answer as 37 minutes ago. All right. So let's close this one out. What do you think? I think it was fun.
We're good. Well, I just
had a lot of great questions.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. This was really cool to see. Got a lot of interaction on IG and everywhere else. And I just want to say thank you. It's such a humbling thing to have everyone come in and be like, "Oh, you asked a question, I will respond." We
actually care to hear your answer to
this. It's so cool, man. I love it. So cool. Thank you guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I like the way the IG stories question thing went. So I think I'm going to do that a bit more often. If you guys like that, I think it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for me that I can repost, tag you guys, all that. Unless your name is Ethan Elliott and you need to change your name so I can tag you, bro. I'm sorry.
But we love you.
But we do love you. So, hey, thank you all for supporting this episode. We're sorry we're not live this week. And I want you to know that we miss you very, very much. We will be on another podcast soon that I haven't told Paul about, and I'll tell him about after this show. But we're going to be on another podcast. It's not confirmed yet, but I'll tell you. So we might be on a podcast tonight. That you're listening to this, just so you know. Don't worry, bud. I'll catch you up. Anyways, so we will be back live again next week. All same live, same day, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Same two guys talking to other people in the fishing industry. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We miss you guys live, so we're gonna get back to that.
Don't forget about the Monster Bass VIP list. That's definitely something you should get on. So go check out the Monster Bass YouTube channel for that video, or go check out Ricker Love on IG. Don't forget about the Monster Bass Tungsten. I know it's a lot of Monster Bass stuff, but there's been a lot happening. That is really cool. The deal that they have is you get like 2 of every size, and it's like $30. They're all on sale right now. That's silly. That is silly. And then there's a VIP deal for that too. Then and then the March box. So keep your eyes peeled for the March box. We're really excited about this one. So just keep your eyes peeled.
And we've got an IG giveaway tomorrow and a YouTube giveaway tomorrow. So be on both platforms. 2 chances to win. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for those, guys. Thanks for listening tonight. You've been awesome as always, and we can't wait to talk to you again on live. Subscribe, like, follow all the things. Chaz, take us out.
Chaz, take us out.
Chaz, take us. Chaz not here. All right. Love you guys.